So a few months ago, my phone made a little buzz sound. Not from a cousin, not from a text, not even from a mate, but that little buzz sound that you get when a notification comes to your phone from the NHS and it makes your stomach do flips before you've even read a word about it, even if it's nothing bad. But I want to tell you what that notification said because that notification is why I'm sitting here talking to you today about it and not completely terrified of what my future could be like. So, what that sounds dark. It's not that dark. Stay with me. Let me get to the beginning or the backstory. So, I got this text, this notification, and it was in regards to the least cinematic medical appointment you can have as a woman, your annual or semi-annual pap smear, or as you call it here, a smear test, which sounds less like a health screening and more like a weird American dog breed, I suppose. But if you've never had one, here's the gist of it. Every couple years, you go in after a nurse asks you to do something deeply undignified involving a small plastic instrument that looks like it was invented by the Spanish Inquisition. And it's not really painful typically. There's really no downtime or recovery. It's kind of started and ended within 90 seconds, and then you just wait for results. That's kind of the whole drama of the situation, which isn't that dramatic sounding. But the point behind it is really dramatic and really important to do as a woman. Um, it it catches cells before they can change or notice if they have changed since your last one. Before we get to the worrying part about that, they're not looking for a problem. They're looking for the faint suggestion of a problem that could be considering possibly showing up when doing these tests. It's the a medical equivalent of noticing your smoke alarm battery is just a bit low and doing that little toot, 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 just giving you that heads up before hopefully anything bad really happens. So I had mine done not long after getting here. I got a notification through the app saying it was time for my test, and the first results came back inconclusive. Now, inconclusive is a wonderful word when it's, say, about a football match. It is considerably less wonderful when it is about your own body. Because in your imagination, what is completely inconclusive? And this is insane. How can your body be inconclusive? That doesn't sound great. It's a blank in the answer of a question that's the worst possible way to have it be there. So they asked me to come back in and do another one. And then that one also came back inconclusive. So two for two, right? My body cannot make a decision on what it feels like doing. At this point, apparently, my cells were as indecisive as anything in Greater London deciding to do something. But here is where I need you to get inside of my American brain for a moment, because it's cluttered in there. Don't mind the boxes too much. Still doing a little unpacking. But in the country I'm from, the notification like that I've received does not just trigger worry about your health. It triggers a second parallel worry that is running alongside those two things, like a horrible sidecar from a motorbike. And that number one worry is how much is this going to cost me? And I've spent most of my adult life in a place where my first thought is not is something wrong, but is can I afford to find out if something is wrong? And those two are not really supposed to live side by side when it comes to your health, right? But they do. And millions of people in America do their entire medical decision making with a calculator open in the back of their mind. And next, here, they told me the next step after the two inconclusive results would be a coloscopy, which again sounds like perhaps a Greek philosopher, I don't know, the great colposcopy, who taught about how suffering comes from beige rooms. But it's not a philosopher. It's just a closer look at what the smear test was unable to find. Basically, like, gonna actually just look at it and see what's going on in there, and we'll just figure it out visually first and see if there's something of concern. So they sent me to Guy's Hospital, which, if you are not aware of, is a wonderful, huge hospital inside of London that has been quietly saving lives long before America even thought about existence. And I want to walk you through beat by beat what the American version of this would have been like for me, because that is the entire reason for this video, is to explain how my mind works as a 40-year-old American woman. Um, Picture this: same notification, same little buzz on your phone, two inconclusive results, same recommendation, but I'm back in the States instead of here in London. And crucially, I had insurance. I had really good insurance, which is really important, the kind that people are grateful to have. Yeah, hold on to that word, grateful. We should loop back around to that one. But here's what happens next. First, I need to find out what kind of specialist they want me to do for this follow-up. Then they send me the magic American language for healthcare, because I need to find one that is in network. Because if they're out of network, the price does not just go up, it ascends to the top of a mountain. It leaves the atmosphere, and then there's the deductible after that. And for anyone who is lucky enough not to know what a deductible is, it's the amount of money that you have to spend after already paying for your health insurance every year. It's basically like having to pay to use the subscription service that you're already paying to have. And then once you reach that deductible, then your insurance will start paying for stuff. And sometimes that's anywhere from two to $10,000. You get to decide how much that you want to have. But first, you have to unlock that deductible before they'll pay for anything, your insurance, that is. Um, so I don't want to exaggerate this situation. I'm lucky. But a coloscopy in the United States, depending on where you are and if they've happened to find anything and need to do follow ups, because often they will do a biopsy if they find anything, they visually see anything that they're concerned about. That can run you several hundreds of dollars up to $1,000 out of pocket to have that exam done. And then the specialist's fee is separate. And then after they have taken the sample, you guessed it, the lab results are a separate bill. So you have basically three different entities over this one test, and you're probably going to get a bill from each of them, and hopefully your insurance does take care of it. But as you see, it's already an extra stressor on top of something that's a little bit stressful already. So you're standing there and you're thinking, should I get a closer look done? Can I afford this? Um, how important is it they catch this in time? And I think that's the part that people luckily do not fully clock here. They do not have to clock that train of thought here. Um, Faced with maths, a huge number of people, sensible, intelligent, employed people in the States, have to do the most unimaginable thing. They have to just put it off for now, and maybe wait till the next year, wait till the deductible resets. It's less expensive in a month if I just wait. It's less expensive in 8 months if I just wait till the plan changes. And I'm telling you, in my heart of hearts, that's probably what I would have done. I would have just waited. because you don't know how much it's going to be. Yeah, they're supposed to tell you, but what is supposed to happen and what happens is not always the same. So after two inconclusive results, I went in for this coloscopy, and they looked and they said, it doesn't look like there's any issues of concern. Um, we want you back here in 3 months just to be safe, but it could be related to the fact that my medical history isn't shared, 40 years of medical history shared here, and having two inconclusive tests, they just wanted to make sure. And that is not how I've experienced healthcare at all in the States. But the idea that I would have delayed it, that's pretty scary when you think about it, because how many women actually suffer from late stage cervical cancer, a cancer that can be treated so efficiently if caught early? Um, a lot of lives would be saved by this. Um, Here, no one has to ask what happens next when you have questionable tests or they want to follow up. In America, the follow-up question to that is just a spreadsheet of your budget and how much breathing room for the inverse lottery to happen to you, essentially. But here, a 90-second appointment is just something you get to walk out of and go have a sandwich and enjoy the rest of your half morning off from work. Everything in the American healthcare system has a price tag. And it's not always just financially, it's a mental price tag. It's, yeah, the price tag your family pays because of the stress that you feel. People have to remortgage their homes to pay for medical bills in the States. People start fundraisers, GoFundMe's for grown adults trying to cover their healthcare costs. People with jobs, people with insurance, um, people on the internet are kind enough to donate to these GoFundMe's to help these people seek medical care, where it is something that should be what a developed nation does for its citizens. It's insane to look back. Um, it's cruel to see it from the outside. I always thought it was cruel from the inside, but to see and experience the opposite side, it's even more cruel. Um, every medical choice you make in America is a financial decision, and that changes the way you approach most things. The bills that you most want to take care of, they catch up for you. It it's designed to produce the worst outcomes, which it statistically does. It has the worst outcomes from the developed world. Okay, but back to my reality now, back here in London. I went to Guy's Hospital. I want to tell you the cost of my coloscopy because it's important and it's basically the center point of this entire video. I walk out of that office with no bill, no statement, which I still can't get used to. Every time I walk out, I'm like, do I need to check out? Do I need to sign something? They're like, bye, you're done. You can leave. Nothing other than my NI tax that comes out of my pay, my taxes, and part of my fee for my visa. That so I know it's not free, but it is not added cost. That calculator in the back of my head that I've had running since I don't know my 20s at this point, it had no job here. It had nothing to do. I think that calculator's getting a little bored. It just sat there confused, um, say, just in the dark. When I turned up at Guy's Hospital, they were also incredibly kind. They made fun little jokes. It was two nurses. It was a very informative visit. You can see the camera next to you. They explained everything step by step to me. There was, equipment that is a little different than the equipment in the States, which I thought fascinating as a biology major from university. It was pre-veterinary, which is the same as pre-med at that point in your education. So it's fun just to kind of it turned something that was scary into something informative, and having the results come back not scary. It was an interesting experience. Had they been scary, yes, I would have been scared, but not in the same way. I know that I would have gotten treatment. It wouldn't be if I do have cancer cells, what is the next? Because I've had friends in the States who have had abnormal PAPs and had to get what's called a leap. So they remove the cells, and sometimes more than once. I had a friend who worked for the state government in Kentucky, and the first time they did it, they were not able to get all the cells out, so she had to do it again. And each one was $700, and this was about 15 years ago. So I can't imagine that it got cheaper or that better coverage happened. So, but okay, we all know what's going to happen next. I can already hear some of you warming up your little fingers on the keypad, and you're going to complain about the NHS. So let us be fair, because I am not interested in selling you a fairy tale by any means, even though there's castles in this country. The NHS is not perfect. Everyone knows that. It is stretched thin after years of cuts. Waiting lists are plenty long. They're sometimes alarmingly so. And the people who work in there doing the heroic work inside of that building, they need more funding. That's what solves that issue. And they need a little more understanding. They understand everyone's frustration with the entire experience, I'm sure. And I believe you. Both of these things can be true at once. A system can be under enormous strain and also be quietly one of the most civilized ideas that a country has ever committed to. And like I said again, because I always get these comments, I pay for it. Comes out of my taxes, comes out of my pay. It was part of the spousal visa process, which a lot of people seem to not realize that as a spouse on a visa, you have to pay thousands as part of your visa on top of paying out of your check as soon as you start work. So chill, you know, have a herbal tea, relax. I am just really grateful that this service was here for me at this time. I had never had an abnormal or inconclusive PAP in the States, and it had been a couple years since I had one, and I I'm just grateful that I didn't have to go through the additional stress of what that would have been like in the States. One system reaches for your hand. I'll let you guess which system that is. And the other system reaches for your checkbook. I think we know which one. It's pretty obvious here. Anywho, I'll let you figure it out if you haven't. But I'm just grateful, and I want to say this to anyone that's debating on what they should do with their health. Go get checked. If you live here, like whatever the equivalent screening is that you should be getting regular, if you're getting those notifications that say it's time for XYZ exam, go get it. Don't wait till the new year. Don't wait for a better month. Don't let a number and a bank account make decisions that belong to your body. Even those in America listening right now, I know it is terrifying what that bill will be, but don't wait, because the whole tragedy of my American version of this story is that bravery asks you to do this, to keep tabs on your own health. We have so many advancements. It's there. Utilize it. Now, I got lucky. I know that. Not only because my body was fine, but because I was here. I didn't have to deal with someone asking me what I could afford. And I know everyone everywhere should have that same experience and that same right. It should just be no luck involved at all. It should just be a Tuesday, It should be just a basic thing that you get to do. But yeah, that's the story of how one little notification on my phone uh, became a mountain climb of mental gymnastics and cultural PTSD working its way out. And I did wait a couple weeks before replying to that, even though I know I didn't have to pay for it, but I had to accept it that I could. Um, but go get checked. Stay healthy. Stay positive. Thanks for listening to my rambling story. What are some of your stories about the NHS? I know I've seen many comments online of people sharing how the NHS saved their life. Let me know in the comments below, especially if you are an expat or immigrant. I have a whole video coming in on the definition of that, so please forgive me. Um, but if you came from a country without socialized medicine or universal healthcare and you came here, what was that adjustment like? Let me know in the comments below. And please like, subscribe, do that little hype thing. And until then, I will see you in the next one. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe and leave a comment below. And as always, a special thanks to my members. And be sure to check out the Tudor Yank store live now.